What's up, man?
Yo,
How have you been?
doing good. I'm just working. A lot of
Yeah,
news. A lot of news out there these days, though.
I suppose so. I mean, I've kind of gotten a little lost in it. For a little while, I was thinking about Iran, and I was like, man, I want to make a video about Iran, and like, here's my position on Iran and all that stuff. But I just kind of never really took the time and got around to
Uh,
it.
I think that it is what it is. I think that yes, he was. I mean, Iran sucks, and it's annoying that hard work had to be done, and I don't necessarily know if it was my preferred thing, but um, it's never going to be pleasant to do something like that, and like it's medicine in some ways, where it's like we can't just let this stay forever, where they just eventually get to the point where they have enough weaponized infrastructure that we can't stop them from getting nukes and things. So,
That's
um,
kind of what it seems like we've been doing is just kind of kicking the can down the road.
yeah,
And it's like, we basically celebrate, like, yay, we kicked the can again. All right,
yeah.
yeah. And it's like Obama set up this whole thing, and it was like, yeah, we kicked the
Well,
can
he
again. And it's
unfroze
like,
he unfroze a lot of their accounts, and he dropped a bunch of cash on a tarmac
that never
for them.
made any sense to me. Like, it was like $1 billion or something, or maybe more. And it was like actually, like, literally pallets
It,
of cash or something like that. I was
yeah,
like,
it
what?
was, and so
It
it
never made
was,
sense to me.
and they never agreed to inspections or anything. They just basically said that, "Yeah, we promise not to," even though, it's written in Sharia law or whatever it is. It's written it's within their religion that it's not lying when you're talking to infidels. You can say whatever you want. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, so they can say whatever
To
they feel like
care.
saying at all time, and it doesn't matter. It has no binding effect,
Yeah.
and so it's almost like
They have a goal, they have an overall goal, and they can do whatever that is required to do
yeah.
that. And there are preferred methods to accomplish those goals, and that those methods involve playing along with whatever your opposition thinks that you need to do.
Yeah, they would just basically agree to things, and we're like, "Cool, yeah, that sounds good. You agreed not to make nukes, and that's all we want in the first place. And
Right.
like, and here's your money back, and also and a couple billion just for kicks, just as a on the tarmac." So it just to me doesn't make any sense.
Like, so
They don't have they're not sane. They don't think they're not. You can't negotiate with them really. You need to
right.
verify.
I do think that they're like, with this type of a mentality, I don't think there is any like actual real negotiations that really can be taken that can
Right.
be taken place.
So what you can do is don't trust but verify. So you can have systems that are accepted, and then like if there's like a
Right.
scenario where you're doing things and you're checking things on a regular basis and say, hey, we need to see here, we think you're doing some crappy stuff here, let us in. You can get stuff where there's like a there where they're police or something where that we can just verify, because that's the only way we'd know. But other than that, you can't really trust them. You have to be able to check, and they don't want anything. They want to be able to do the caliphate, do the caliphate
Yeah.
thing. They
Like,
want the end to come.
I remember there was something about like the Strait of Hormuz, and it was like, okay, so Trump offered, like, okay, hey, we will pair with you to do the Strait of Hormuz and open it up, right? Which kind of allows them to continue having power and to continue kind of pushing that ball forward. But we would be like in very close working relationship with their movements and their actions, and we would basically insert ourselves into their system, is the way I kind of saw it. And I was like, that can kind of like theoretically work, because it's like, okay, in order for, like, if money's coming in and you guys get some of this money, well, we are looking at that money,
Yeah.
we are observing all of it. But they were like, no, we don't want any of that. So it's like, all of this stuff is just really, it's not good faith. And something that, when I look at, okay, why did this even really happen to begin with, right? I mean, at least for Trump, like, why did the bombs drop? Like why did he take out, which was remarkable and it's very surprising that he just did it day one, right? And it was like, oh, so they went and they talked to him, and Iran leadership was like, yeah, so you know how you guys bombed our nuclear sites, right? Like us, our sites, our
Yeah.
labs.
They say, well, we can make more.
They
We
said
got
it
enough
doesn't really
to make
matter
seven.
because you didn't bomb all of them, and we are weeks away now from achieving 11 of them. And so and what we're going to do with those 11 is we're going to bomb Israel, and
I
we're going
know,
to
so
bomb
dumb.
you,
So dumb.
and anybody else that wants to get in our way, we'll bomb them too. Ha 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 ha. And it was like, for one, that's like a really, really dumb thing. Like, that's remarkably stupid, right? And that just paved the way for. And here's the thing: is like, if this was like a Kamala Harris like decision, if she was involved in this, she probably wouldn't even catch this. She probably wouldn't even. She'd be like, "Oh, well, we need to put pressure. We need to put pressure and this and that."
Yeah. Yeah.
Or she would launch into a war, and the war would turn into this like she would end up bombing the crap out of all of the citizens. It would look like Iraq. I think it would be probably more or less like Iraq if she ended up getting into it, like actually into a war. And so when I look at what Trump is kind of doing, it's like Trump is very strategic in his actions, and he's very effective in his actions, and he's eliminating all of the points. Here goes your navy, here goes your air force, here goes your like here goes all of the elements that you need in order to operate your country. I'm decimating them. And all the
And
while he's like, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to work with you. And he's trying to actually work with them, but it's I'm sure he already knows like they're not actually interested in doing any
so
work.
what's happening now, though, is it at a certain point around now ish, they are going to be in bad shape with their oil wells because they don't have any more storage. They
Yeah.
can't because it's imagine you start a siphon on a gas tank and it just goes right to
Yep.
fill up and you can't really just start it back up again if you stop it. That's kind of the scenario that you have. That's first off, it destroys your infrastructure to try to stop it in the first place, so it doesn't just keep shooting out.
Right.
A lot of times it just destroys the stuff, and you can't really stop it. But if they do stop it, they can't start it back up again easily. They'd have to drill new facilities and things like that. So,
And Trump is looking at like he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna decimate your energy sources now."
dude,
Like,
I'm so glad that so far we have not had power plant and bridge day. I am very I
yeah.
I don't want it. I
you know,
if it's necessary, it's necessary, but I don't all that's gonna do is gonna punish the 60% or 65%, whatever it is, of Iranians that actually just wanna be normal humans and live in the world, you know?
but here's the thing. Here's the thing though is I don't think anybody actually wants it.
Who's gonna starve first? Who's gonna dehydrate first? It's all those people. Like, all the people all the radicals are gonna stay alive longest. Everyone else is just gonna run out of water.
Well, I think that steps would have to be taken cuz the way I kind of see it is like the country would effectively go dark. Like completely dark. Like you
Yeah.
you take out the new the power plants and you take out the bridges. It's a free for all, right? And I
So,
think that what
let's
happens at that point is like what I would hope that the US would do is stuff that maybe I would never even know about. Like the general public would never know about, but there would be some sort of like intrusion of like, hey, we're giving guns to the locals, to the actual people who need to take back their country.
take
It sounds like he gave them to the Kurds, and the Kurds just took them.
just kept them.
And it's like, I think
Asshole,
that's a
dude.
really, really
That
bad
is like the
move for
worst.
the
That is
Kurds.
horrible for the Kurds because
Dude,
that
that's a bold move. Let's see how that plays out. And I don't think it's gonna play well in the future for the Kurds? Because that's when you betray trust with Trump, that's kind of a big deal.
Um, yeah, it sucks for the Trump now. Now they do only have to wait 2 years, and depends on what happens, who else is there. Yeah, they might not have to suffer consequences, right?
We'll see. And I mean, I feel like there's stuff that's like, hey, we drop aid packages, and who's gonna be there to pick up the aid packages first? Well, it's gonna be the bad guys. Well, guess what happens to the bad guys? Hey,
They get
these are
shot.
decoy. In
Yeah,
effect, they're decoy aid packages, and they just become targets to take out the enemy. Like I think there's a lot of strategy
yeah, there is.
that can be
And
utilized.
the ceasefire and things were very useful for strategy also, to see how they're moving around and like what things they're digging up, and all that kind of stuff. So all of it is all the steps along the way have been, they're not just complete retreats. They're not just complete like, oh, he's backing down or whatever else. It's like you're shifting, you're doing something different. You're seeing how they respond. You want to see you want to see if the people talking to you actually have some sort of control. You want to see if the you want to see how the power dynamic is working out. Then you say, all right, let's try to talk to this person and see if they can make this happen, right?
Right.
It's at this point, I have not been paying attention daily to what's been happening with that. I'm just crossing my fingers that it all works out, because like there's nothing more I can figure out. It's just what it's just what happens. It just see
Yeah.
what happens.
And honestly, it's kind of it's a strange thing. You know, what I really appreciate that Trump is doing is that it is very calculated, and he's not like, this is not Iraq, right? This is not going to be a decade long war. This isn't turning into a decades long war
Yeah.
like Afghanistan. He's made when he makes threats, he comes through on them. When you send a bunker buster missile and you kill all of the top leadership, all of
Twice
them,
over, yeah.
in one blow, in one day. And then the second layer comes and they're like, well, we're coming after, boom, they get decimated.
Yeah.
And then the third layer comes and it's like, boom, they're decimated. And then apparently this last guy is likely injured and maybe in a coma, but maybe he's dead. Either way,
He's
he's out
his
of the
older
picture.
son, his gay older son. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, I think that's more just like that's probably just um
It's a rumor,
linguistic
and we're
tactic.
going with it because we like to make him sound bad. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it puts questions into the populace, and it's like, wait, our leader now is a gay guy? Like, hold on a second, and that
Yeah.
messes with their head.
Yeah, because their culture is not tolerant of that.
Right. And so, which is actually very strange. I don't know if it's in Iran, but I know in a lot of these countries that are like this, they are more pro trans than they are gay. So it's like, instead of being
Hmm.
gay, like, you're not allowed to be gay. So instead you have to convert yourself into a woman, and then you can exist. But in effect, you're turned into a party trick. You're a party favor. These you go to weddings, and you go to these parties, you go to these things, and you're like an object of entertainment
Yeah.
in these other places. That's what the trans are, and that basically has replaced the gay the gay kind of a thing. So
I don't know.
it's a very strange
I'm learning about
situation.
that now, if that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
You can look it up. It's a very
I don't need
strange
to.
thing.
It's
I don't
okay.
know if that's the case in Iran.
I don't think that's a good Google search.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't think that's
Well,
a good Google
you
search.
can just kind of find it on X or something like that, right? But or you can just, like, you can grok it or whatever, you know. But it's an interesting evolution to their own ideology. Like, so they even are finding loopholes around these things. There's some weird stuff that kind of goes on with that, but I don't know if that's necessarily like an Iran thing. That may not be the case in Iran at all. It may not exist in Iran at all. That may be more like of a Pakistan kind of a thing.
Yeah. The real thing that interested me recently is the Supreme Court case that basically overturned something allowing for redistricting.
Oh yeah, the racial, you can't
Yeah, you
redistrict based
can't
off of
discriminate
race.
race, which is correct. Now,
Yeah.
of course, they're gonna be. It's gonna be war. Now it's gonna be a war, and it's gonna be a shit show, just like with Roe v. Wade, right? Well, it's proper that they overturned Roe v. Wade in terms of like Roe v. Wade was just bad law, and it was the judges writing what the new system is. The judges invented the trimester system.
Yeah.
That wasn't legislation. That was like it was bad. Now maybe you say you want maybe you say you want abortion to be a thing, and okay, but this is bad law, and even if you wanted abortion, this needs to go away. We need to have things that are not doing things correctly go away out of the books. Same thing with this. Um, it's just bad to have things that way. It's gonna shake things up, and it's gonna be a complete political nightmare with all this stuff. I think with everyone's gonna redistrict, and then there's gonna be it's just horrible, but
I mean,
I
I
love it
wonder
at the
how
same
it's
time.
going to end up panning out because from what I've kind of my understanding is that the the red states have kind of more or less fairly redistricted themselves
Yeah,
for the entirety of how long ever red has existed in these states. When red has been in control of the states, they've
yeah.
they've districted things fairly.
Yeah,
Um,
but they had to abide by the rules accounting for the
Right.
race of
But
people.
I mean they didn't go like I saw a new map that they tried pushing in for like Illinois where like it was like every single district and it was unbelievable. It was like every single district touched um
Chicago and
Chicago
yeah,
and it
they
spread
they just
all the way through the states.
they just make sure that the liberal Chicago touches all
Yeah.
the lower
And
populated
I was
areas
like
to make sure
that's a crazy
it's
thing to do.
it's
And so it's
yeah.
like I don't but the thing is I don't think that red states really did that. It was kind of like they didn't
No,
tap into certain cities. It was kind of
like
like here's this kind of place. Like being in Washington, it's like okay, I think that Washington's districts are pretty fairly represented. I think that you've got from my understanding of it, like you've got the East Coast and here's blocks, you've got King County, you've got Snohomish, and it's like they're all kind of like part of their own like ecosystem. Like if you're down in
sure.
Tacoma, it makes
You wanna
sense that everybody in that
yeah.
area, it's not stretching all the way through into
I
Seattle
haven't
and stuff
looked
like
at
that.
it in detail, but it does appear that it's just not crazy,
It's not
right?
crazy. I think I don't have a problem with it. I think
I'm
that
sure
the
that
way
they
that it
are I'm
is
sure
fine.
that it still is, um, purposely doing the same type of thing in less egregious ways where they're trying to
It
they're like,
I
"We don't
looked
need
at
to
it
win by
earlier today.
60% here. We don't need to win by 60%. We can just win by 55% in this district, and so we'll have the line go this way so that we'll more easily win this," I'm sure it's nuanced, I'm sure.
Um maybe it doesn't it's not blatant though to
I
me.
I would say
It's
that
there
it would
there's
be
parts of the like
it would be
near Seattle.
negligent of a party not to do that. So I think it's being done. I think a controlling
Honestly,
party
I
should
don't think it's necessary for Washington to even take the action to redistrict. I think that Washington in general is so like the
we just
population is
we
so
just got a
heavy.
new
It's so heavy in the coastal type areas, right near Seattle, and
yeah,
that like the population is so heavy there
what a sound, yeah.
that it's like they can just say hey this area and it all makes sense. Here's Seattle and I think Seattle is it's kind of its own district and then you've got Linwood and you've got Bothell and you've got all these other
Aren't there like
areas.
13 or something? I know that like 5 or 10 years ago, we got an additional because we had a population increase, so we got an just additional representative for our state.
Yeah, I mean, but either way, I think at least Washington's not. But this is kind of a bit beside the point because Washington to me is not a problem, and I think that that's fair enough. And if we're blue, which I think that we largely are, then hey, fair enough. I know a lot. Like you drive like 50 miles east, 100
Yeah,
miles east, like well 50 miles east, like around Wenatchee, Issaquah, those kind of areas. You're looking at red. You're looking at Trump signs
yeah,
all down that whole way.
yep,
And so, I think that, the districts in those areas are fairly represented.
yeah.
So we are very red in part of it, but we're heavy blue in the most populated areas.
Yeah, I was
But
listening to Tim Pool actually yesterday about the
yeah,
redistricting thing, and he mentioned I can't remember if he said 12 or like 30 or something. He said just in like Louisiana, if they did it, then they could basically turn 12 seats over or something.
he was
I don't
talking
remember the
about
exact
how
number.
this whole process it could turn into like 20 to 30 new red states
Yes,
or new
the
red
new
new red
yes,
seats.
and
Um,
those are flip seats, so it's like
yeah,
20 lost or 30 lost and then 30 gained,
yeah.
which is correct. It's just would Illinois and all those also do the same thing because they can use the same justification to redistrict. They can say the Supreme Court ruling. So we need to eliminate all the racial implications, and so we can do our half cycle because this is
So
the half cycle. It's supposed to be at the beginning of each after each census on the tens, right? So we had it in
yeah.
2020. The only reason why Florida hadn't done it yet is because there's a lot of litigation. Biden had litigation against Florida, so that's why they've been delayed till now, and that's supposedly what's causing all this problem. It's like, well,
Hmm.
they've been in litigation that they just solved, and they have slow played a little bit the last couple of months because they thought maybe this Supreme Court ruling
Yeah.
would happen, and then it happens. They drop what their plan is. Now that they know it won't be challenged because it's not going to be political. It's not race based, and so
Right.
uh, it's
I'll be honest, I don't really understand how the race based is actually like applied.
it's
Like
what they want
is
is
that basically like the Chicago kind of a thing? Where it's like they basically just tap a whole
they
bunch
just
of places
they
into.
want they they want to for one thing they want to make it to be so like blacks can elect black people and Latinos can elect Latino people to represent them type of thing.
Oh, I see. So here's a black neighborhood, and the black neighborhood is going to effectively be a district. Like
Yeah,
that area
that
is going to
type of
be
stuff.
be the district.
But um, it's just another type of block that is
Yeah. I don't
yeah.
I don't think that makes any sense. I really think that things should just be like it should be just
Interests
location based and who's
like
affected by what.
the areas near the coast should be a part of the same similar district because they care about the port and they care about
Right.
like fishing industry and or whatever else.
Right.
There's things that they have in common
Here's
that
manufacturing
they need
type
to be
stuff. The people who
representative
who
or
work in the
represent.
manufacturing tend to
Yes,
be living around that, so that's the district or
yeah.
whatever.
So that's how the districts need to be done.
Yeah.
They need to be able to have a representative that represents, that understands the needs of their district,
Right.
and it can't be too like when you have some of these things where they it stretches from one side of the state and a skinny little line in between. It goes all the way across. I'm like, dude,
To the other side of the state, like it
yeah,
it,
like
it
so
literally
what?
touches both sides of the
Yeah,
state.
it's like
It's like that really does
they're
not make
not
any
they're not you're
sense.
not serving the same type of people in
Right.
each area. They all have different needs. It's like
Yeah.
it's dumb. So
Well, I guess what's your feeling on the midterms then, with this kind of thing going on? Because I hear,
I
I've
think
been
I
hearing.
think I think that I'm not gonna be able to disagree with people when they say we're stealing this election because we're gonna be stealing it by doing this.
But I want
I think
here's what I kind of wonder.
I think we're gonna do it. I think we're gonna win, and I think it's gonna be completely shameless.
I wonder, because I guess I'm not really sure of okay, how shameless is it, right? Like, is
The
it
Democrats would do it too, yes, but still, I'm still a
is
little bit
what
like,
I guess my here's
oh,
my
no,
question.
Paris, this is a little bit too much.
Well,
Oh,
here's my question is like, is what we're doing basically saying, okay, we're gonna take like in Washington, it makes sense to have the districts that we have,
yeah,
and it's like, is and maybe they could be even more a little bit different. You know, there's some areas that could be a little bit bigger. Maybe there's some areas that could be a little bit smaller. But they would be they're in effect serving the same general type of person. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, are we is what we're doing kind of saying, here's like there's a bunch of Democrats in this area, and we're just gonna focus this down onto this little tiny spot. Because I feel like if you brought everything down into a tiny little spot and like that was the district, then it would be hyper blue and hyper populated, and it would represent something. But if you went beyond that, then it's like it's starting to dilute those votes, right?
yeah.
And so it's like, are we
Well,
cutting out a bunch of those? Are we going to be ending up cutting out a bunch of people who deserve to actually be in those districts? That's what I wonder. I don't know
so
how blatant that might be.
so like I said before, you can, if you're winning 75% of all votes in your district, um, you don't need to win that big. You only need like 55% for the margin of error.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have 20 points worth you can like add a bunch of Democrats in there so they're not in another district. That's what they're doing. That's what or vice versa as Democrats doing the
Right.
fourth
Well, it's I
Republican.
guess the Democrats have already been doing that. So Democrats have been
I
running
think
this
we
gambit.
have been too. I think that they're more shameless with how
Right.
they've drawn their crazy
I mean, when I
lines
look
and
at
stuff.
Texas,
But
when I look at what Texas had drawn, it was like, okay, this looks pretty wild. But it's also I kind of also look at it at Texas like Texas is, I believe, fairly red, and I think that basically it's just the metropolitan cities that are really blue.
yeah,
And when I okay, just logically when I think about it too, is like, okay, when you have metropolitan cities have a certain type of person.
hmm
They live a different lifestyle than people who are not near
but
metropolitan
also in
cities.
Texas, there's a lot of open land that's not in use, and so like when they span in weird ways, sometimes it's just because there's no people. There's no
Sure,
people to capture,
sure.
and so they just have yeah. So it's
But that the if somebody were to buy on that land or they were to develop on that land, then you would want it to be in this kind of a district because
yeah,
they're thinking about the needs of that piece of land. Like a metropolitan um idea and way of operating in the world would not be conducive to a land that is actively being developed way out in the middle of nowhere, right?
yeah.
That's not gonna work, right? So to me, it almost does make sense to say, hey, metropolitan cities would have their own district, like these hyper popularized um, places. Those are the places that need to have, like, they can have a district. But all these the farmland and the more, you know, the people who are further away from that, they should have a different kind of a district. So it kind of almost seems to me like in reality, the way that things should be is you have this representative who operates in metropolitan cities. Like you'd have this part and you'd have this. Like it's basically there would be dots. You'd have dots
So
around, and the more
I'm
developed
looking at
that
this
these
Texas
things
map.
got, the larger that the district should be.
This Texas map, there's a whole ton of squares in here. Whole ton of squares.
A bunch of squares.
Yeah, let me see. A proposed plan is I'll let me see if I can save the screen. Or I'll just send that. I'll just copy and I think I can put it in here, right? I mean, you can get whichever one you want, but this is what I'm looking at, and I just control plus 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 to get the. Oh, you have only one screen. You can't do that.
I
Um,
can't really show it so much.
yeah, I mean, but you
Um,
can look at see what you're looking at. I can look at the same picture, right? You see, this is the one that has the see all the squares, the blue and yellow squares at the top of the state there.
where did you send it?
Oh, in the chat for this, I said it in the chat in the studio
Oh,
chat.
private chat. Here we go. It doesn't like that.
Okay,
I
I'll
had a thing up and it showed. I looked up the Texas thing and now I'm kind of like, where did I put it?
I can send it back in
Clicked
your.
away.
I can send it in the
Oh, I found it.
messenger. Oh, okay.
I found one. I guess
I just want
just
to look at.
looking at it.
So if you look at it, like if you just look at it, they're all pretty uniform on the west side of the state for sure.
On the west side, it's like you've like District 23, I guess. It's like this big thing. But it's I mean a lot of it looks kind of normal.
Oh, I'm not going with the proposed. So I want to move this camera to point it at this, just so we know we're looking at the same thing.
Sure.
So, well, yeah,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
actually what I was looking at.
yeah.
Perfect.
So this, my camera's flipped, and so,
It
but
looks it
23
looks it
is
looks
over here.
correct
That's
on
it's not
here.
that big a deal. It's just I don't know why that matters, but this is the proposed map, and it's all very, very, very uniform, and except for of
Yeah.
course in the corner over there.
So
So
is there a problem with this?
I I don't know. There's a
I
problem
don't
with
I
it.
guess I'm
The
not
people
maybe
don't
my
like it
eyes
because
can't see the
I
issue.
mean, obviously, Democrats aren't going to like it because um, it's going to result in more seats for Republicans. So they're going to protest, even whether it's fair or not. But those, it's not like they're drawing crazy lines there, from what I can tell.
It's it's what's weird to me is that like when I look at these districts and I look at a state, when you just look I mean pick out any state, right? To me, every pretty much every metropolitan city in pretty much most states, they're going to be blue,
Hmm.
I think. And so but what it seems like to me is that which means it's Democrat. And so it seems to me that what the Democrats want to do is they want to operate the city as if the country was a metropolitan country,
Yeah.
right? And the fact is that it's not a metropolitan country. We have metropolitan cities in the country that are sparsely spread out throughout the country. So it really doesn't make much sense for Democrats to kind of be in control of and run things and push everything as if that's the way as if it's a metropolitan city, because we need to have our resources, we need to have our farmlands, we need to have there's a lot of stuff that we got to be able to and we got to kind of take care of the people. We got to make sure that the
You know,
people who provide to us, I live in a metropolitan city. I got to make sure that the farmers are doing well. And a metropolitan city, they're not thinking about farmers. They're thinking about what's the next app that we can make? What's the next business that we can create? What's the next
no,
thing that we
they're
can
not. That
tax?
would be the dream if they were doing that. But what they're actually doing is to say, how can we get more taxes so that we can do more social
Right.
programs?
And
That's what they
unfortunately,
actually do. All they do is try to tax you more so that they can do more government programs, which are very, very inefficient, and they spend your money more poor, and then all the prices of everything go up because
right. Like they
because
kind
everything
of
is
end up
done.
ruining things, and it's you know what it I think it is it's more that it's a moral thing, because I grew up as a Democrat, and to me as a Democrat a lot of it was a moral thing. It was like, hey, I want, I want to treat other people equally, and I think that we should do this, and and it was kind of like what's right and what's wrong. It wasn't We didn't really think about or consider like the value of things or the impact of how certain things, if we ignored these kinds of things, yeah, tax the rich, because these people, Like we would look at these rich people as like they're just individuals and they make
Yeah,
so much more money and they don't need all of that money. We should just take that money from them and get and spread that out because they don't really
yeah.
need they don't need billions upon billions of dollars in order to make it through in order to live. You look frozen. Okay,
I'm
never mind.
sorry,
You're not.
I'm not frozen. I'm
you
looking at a text.
you just
I was
you,
looking at a
you
text.
like you got very still there.
I'm looking at a text message I sent to someone else earlier about this subject to try to see if I've worded it well in the text message or not because um
Well, I guess let me know when you get that.
he's my friend from California,
Yeah.
and he's been my friend for whatever since high school. But he's just very he thinks he's an open-minded guy, and he is in a sense. It just he's very much influenced by the
Well,
attitude. He's been there for
California
a long
I think is a really good example because you've got the coastal region and it's like the coastal region basically benefits from the eastern region of California. The eastern region produces a lot of the stuff that
time.
the coast the western region gets from California. And so and I think that they end up taking it for granted. And when you grow up in these metropolitan cities and you have these ideas and and your focus is on like fairness and
Yeah.
and lifting
The
up
most
other
poisonous
people.
thing
Right.
right now is the idea that, like, billionaires are the bad guy.
Right.
That is it's so opposite.
Yeah.
It's so opposite of what needs to happen, like, and people are like, "They don't pay taxes because" it's like, so you're gonna force them to sell shares in of their company or divest from their company so that they can have an income they can be taxed. It's like then they won't control their company anymore because if they if as
And then
they
you
lose their
lose the
shares.
company.
Yeah, it's like no. First of all, if you don't take the money out, it's just invested. It's like reinvesting in your company. Like you have
Right.
these shares, and it's like you don't cash out on it. You're just it's like you own a part of you just own part of the business. That's all it is. It's sure it has a monetary value attached to it, and you raises up. But why should they want to just tax people's like if they have a Mona Lisa in their house? It's like okay, well, yeah, you owe $2 million wealth tax because that thing's worth $10 million.
Because
Like
it's
what?
worth so much. Like
Like,
I
it's
know that Elon
ridiculous.
Musk.
They think that's a good idea.
Yeah, like Elon Musk, I don't think Elon Musk has that much in liquid like acid like
No, he can
liquid.
produce whatever he wants but he's a lot of resources. But he
Right.
doesn't. He gets paid $54,000 a year from SpaceX because he's required to by law to get paid something for whatever
Yeah,
reason for that.
but he has a lot
Um,
of wealth. And
but
that's what these
yeah,
the Democrats basically want to target is they want to target the wealth. And when you end up
so,
targeting the wealth, you end up pulling down the opportunities. Like
yeah,
I just imagine like okay, if if what ended up happening was the Democrats got in power and they said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna do these billionaire taxes and we're gonna do all this stuff." And if they did this way back in the day when Elon Musk was just getting started, we wouldn't have the Boring Company. We wouldn't have like
yeah.
SpaceX. We wouldn't have like he would have been crippled in order like just trying to make
Like
it because they would see him and they would
you want
say
to have the go-getters be able to um
innovate
control the
and
money in essence.
right,
I mean, like they are making good use of resources.
right,
If you give
especially
that money
people
to the
like
government,
Elon
they
Musk
waste it.
and Jeff
The government
Bezos.
wastes it. You want to have the people that are productive have the money.
Right.
Now, people imagine these Scrooge McDucks that are greedy and just swimming in their gold, and like they don't need that much. They see it as like that instead of it being what it actually is. And and like I'm listening to these other podcasters on what was it called, like moonshots or the all in podcast or whatever else where they're like CEOs and
Right.
and people of industry that they're millionaires and billionaires, probably some of them, and their conversations, all of all the moves that they're making, like dealing with the AI agents and things like that, they're like they'll spend like $4.6 million in tokens of these experiments that they're doing to try to figure out how to better accelerate the business and things like that.
Right.
They routinely spend all this to develop systems that actually do well to make their business strong. But those are big numbers. People like they play with 4 and 50 billion and $50 million
Yeah.
to to they have that
Develop
the
something.
luxury to
Yeah.
spend, like I said, like this one guy today, I don't remember his name, but he was just talking about, he just 4.6 million is in my head because that's what he spent like over the weekend doing, playing with AI agents, trying to compete in different, and getting different results and finding out how many tokens they waste doing this and that and all that kind of stuff. And it's like when you have the freedom to operate like on that scale, you can get a lot done. Because like I would be afraid, right?
Yeah.
When you have lesser money, you're afraid to take
To take the
a
risks.
risk with your life. like
Right.
like you can't just spend, even if you have $10 million, you can't spend $4.6 million on a little thought experiment to try to optimize your business. That is um that would be, what do you call that, like when you're not being well, doing not taking care of your company well. It's like you're not being a good steward to your company. And you'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, if you have a small business like that and you use like 50% of its value to try to do that type of
Well,
thing,
it's
that is actually
irresponsible,
that's
right?
irresponsible.
Yeah.
That's irresponsible, right? But you have these people that have hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they have this type of thing. It's
They
like
could say,
people
I'm
go,
going
"Oh,
to
they
take
shouldn't have that
50
much money."
million
It's like,
and
well,
I'm going to
they
try this
provide a lot
thing.
of utility with just the use of that. And plus, when they do get it, that money comes right on back. They get it right back, and people are like,
Well,
"Oh
it
yeah, oh, they
comes
don't need that money."
it ends up coming back to the people in different ways. Like I really feel like Elon Musk is like a legendary individual. What he's managed to do is he's basically made Tesla. He popularized Tesla. He made a fortune off of Tesla, and then he turned and he went into launching rockets and SpaceX, and the SpaceX ended up giving us what is it called, the
Oh,
internet from the satellites,
yeah,
Starlink. So that
Starlink,
gave
yep.
us Starlink, right? And it's like he's
Well,
got and
and
then Tesla has also the automation of Tesla
so
informs his AI, which
the Tesla and
informs his
SpaceX stories,
robots.
they had a different game plan when they started.
Yeah,
Like Mars, and also 20 million cars produced per year by 2030. Like
yeah,
they had a different mission when they start, but as they spend this money and do this thing, work towards the process, they see the needs in the society, or like,
yeah,
or the places where, like, oh look, actually the world's going this direction instead. And then they shift those massive resources into basically providing for the direction that the world is going to. It's like the Starlink came out, it was innovation based upon their other mission of going to Mars.
right.
It just so happened to be that, well, why might as well do that? And
Hey,
oh
we're
look,
launching rockets up there anyways.
why don't we help the
Throw up a
internet with
satellite that's gonna give
countries
people internet in
with like
Ukraine.
Ukraine, with like they can do things like, give that in Ukraine, or in Iraq, or
Yeah,
Iran, or whatever else. Like it turned into so much more. And then it's like, okay, we're gonna make sure that no one, instead of it just being satellites for their communication, so they can have their rockets operate, right. There's like, let's provide satellites for the whole world.
right.
Let's
Yeah,
do this. That happens with all of Elon's companies. They evolve, and they find needs that they can serve, and then they create these massive beneficial products.
and what's crazy to me is that they have converted him into becoming a villain. He got when he bought Twitter and he converted it into X. and he like all that he did, literally all that happened when he got Twitter is he said, "You know what? We're not going to be censoring and banning people for saying non-illegal things. If you've got a
Yeah.
voice and you want to say something, we're going to let you battle it out in the battlefield of ideas." And it was the people who said, "I don't want to hear these things. I don't like that these things are being spoken. So I'm going to go over to Blue Sky. I'm going to go over to Threads."
Yeah.
And when you go and you look at like those places,
It's
you look
toxic.
especially Blue Sky. Blue Sky, it like I swear, if people go and they look and they just log on, they browse around into Blue Sky, that's what Twitter used to look like. That's what it was. It was just a vile hatred towards basically right wing concepts, ideas, and it wasn't even right wing. It was just non hyper left wing stuff, and that's what it was being enforced as. And it's like I really don't think people have the appreciation, or really maybe even just maybe I mean maybe it's insulting, but the intellectual capacity to understand like what it is that he actually did when he did that, when he bought that company. He did not say, "Hey, you know what? I'm turning this into a right-wing thing." He said, "You know what? We're going to allow the battlefield of ideas to run
Yeah.
wild, and let's see who wins."
So
And the people on the left, they just abandoned ship, and they said, "We're going to take our ideas over here." And so now it's like, "Hey, it's full."
it's
But you
not
can still
it's not like
see.
people aren't capable. I mean, some people aren't capable of doing rational thought because they can't. They just haven't learned it. But
Yeah.
it's not important. So being rational isn't important. What's important to a lot of people is the end result that they
The
want.
end results
The
of their
ends,
agenda.
yes, the ends of what they want. The ends, so
And
they
they'll do
can do
anything to
whatever
get
they
it.
say. They like what you can do is, because there's a certain way, there's a certain true way the world should operate. Therefore, I can lie, cheat, and steal any pot, or say anything I want and do anything I want to make sure that the world finds real truth or whatever. It's like they justify the bad behavior for like a greater good, for like a, it's like I'm not really doing bad, I'm actually doing good, by like when they can disingenuously, you know, shoot someone down for something. It's like, oh, that's because he actually hates children, or like
Yeah.
you
They'll
know that's not
assign
true.
you.
You know that's not true. You're just trying to demonize him
Yep.
to. It's like they know it's not. So it's not that they don't understand. They know it's not.
You
They're
know,
just being
it's
assholes.
weird. It's weird because I kind of came from the side. Like I remember, like I did not vote for Trump in 2016. And I fully bought into the narrative that the left, when I was like, "Oh my god, this guy's like the worst person in the world." And I was freaking out, and I was standing on my soapbox with my
Right.
moral superiority complex and all this stuff, and like, how could you be in support of somebody who talks like this and he speaks about women like this and blah blah blah? Because I kind of had this like Obama, like I thought while post post Obama, his first term, I kind of during his first term I realized, "Oh, you're not actually any different from
Yeah.
Bush. You're basically the same thing, but you look the right part. You speak the right words. Like you are you are the perfect representative of what we want, what of how we want the world to view us. We want the world to view us as this charismatic, charming, like smooth talking individual who has a good heart and all this stuff, but behind the scenes he was just causing all kinds of chaos." And so I had that kind of like vision of what it was, of what I expected our president to be. And then I was kind of like I got hit with the shock of like, "Oh my god, okay, like I need to check myself because I can't just accept that all these other people are this bad." And so, I eventually kind of like started looking at him, and I realized, you know what? Trump is a different kind of a character, and he's offering something different to the people. And it's not bad, it's different, and he's a counterpuncher. He's a counterpuncher. You know, he's people are when he gets hit, he hits back harder, and people didn't like that. People had a rough time coping with being insulted because that's kind of what it felt like with him, you know. And so, where was I going with this? Um, I don't know. I could kind of veer off into my experience with Trump and how I shifted into him. Um, I don't know. He's maybe that's where I'll go. Is just where is who Trump has kind of turned into, because my journey in understanding like the worth of what a president is capable of and of accomplishing, I had no idea. I had
Yeah.
no idea that he
He's
could do this.
remade the world in how it operates. It's America centric right now in the sense of like where the seat of power for sure. It's very clear,
Yeah.
and the world is organized with with Venezuela and the new Mid East situation with oil. We are well situated to have energy dominance. Um,
He's really reshaping the world,
yeah,
you know? He's reorganizing the world order is largely what he's doing. Cozy. Come here. And he's doing like what I appreciate from Trump is that he's so effective. When I look at what Bush did, Bush was because I can't really speak much about Bill Clinton. I wasn't paying much attention politically to Bill Clinton, but when I looked at Bush, he
he was a
seemed
reasonable human. He died. I mean, he would lie when he
that
when he
was
could
that
get
was
away with it, but he was a
my
reasonable human.
that was my observation. It was like, he's doing his best, and sure, he lied over some stuff that I just don't care about. It was some personal stuff I just didn't care.
Yeah,
And
it wasn't about lying about that. It just he did normal schmoozing politician-y stuff, and he
sure,
would
but he
and he
he
was
did he got our like he fixed our budget or something like that. He
yeah
took us out of a deficit or something like that.
he made a deal with like Newt Gingrich and the
Yeah.
yeah, they got a balanced
But
budget. He
like
did that.
when I looked at Bush, Bush was just kind of like he took things further in the wrong direction than like further than it should have gone in the wrong direction. It's like we
You mean you talk
9
about the long wars, yeah.
the 9/11 hit, and then he was like, I'm going to blow up all of Afghanistan and especially Iraq. Like, and then if you're not with us, you're against us. Like, you're a villain. And it was like, but you're not making any sense on the actions that you're taking.
Yeah,
And
so
so, and then I
I
saw,
it was very important though that we actually did a lot of learning. We actually thought we knew more than we did at that point because the
I,
whole idea of Bush lied, people died. I is not
I
he
thought it
didn't
was the
lie.
most transparent thing in the world to me, from my perspective. And maybe, maybe it doesn't have that much value in the end of the day. But to me, I was like, this is so transparently bullshit. It was so obvious to me that like you're just
Not to me
making
at
this
all.
stuff up.
To me at all, I think they believed it, and I think that I think that the intelligence that we had on a lot of different things were actually over overconfident. I think
I have a
we
hard
thought we knew more
time.
than we did.
I have a really, and I don't know how my mind really could be changed.
Well,
It'd have to be a massive level
there
of
are people
evidence.
like Colin Powell and kind of Lisa Rice that really believed it too. I think there might be someone in there that
Maybe,
didn't understand
but
that it
the
was
steps that were taken that caused them to believe those things, I was like, this just seems like bullshit. And I can't remember a lot of that stuff now, like what those things were. But I remember
the
just
fact
being
that
like,
WMDs existed, right? Because the existing we never found very many WMDs. We found like
they said, hey, they've got them.
some
And then
bad
we
poisons,
just
right?
invaded because we just said that they had them.
Yeah,
And I was like, you don't really have any actual evidence of this.
yeah.
You're not really. And I
We
wasn't
thought for sure we'd
necessarily
find them, and we
opposed to
did not
Bush.
find them. We thought for sure we'd find 'em, we didn't. We didn't find them because they were mostly not there. All we found some chemical weapons that were dangerous that were banned by
Yeah, but that wasn't
whatever.
something that we were, and it
That's
was
not where
like,
we're at.
okay, and I could kind of see that there's a bigger picture, and it was like there's more going on to this, like this, because to me, I was like, look, we got hit with by from Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. And so what are we doing in Iraq? And to me it was like anything that had to do with Iraq was just going to be BS. Everything just that had anything to do with Iraq, cuz I was like Iraq doesn't even want anything to do with Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
Iraq didn't he didn't Saddam Hussein was like I don't want to be a part of this.
Iraq was paper tiger in a sense. They were actually a dilapidated,
Yeah. And we
bad.
all knew it though. But we all knew it.
Maybe, yeah,
No, it was okay to me at the age of like 18 or something like that. I was like
maybe.
17, however old I was in
I just,
2003. I think I was
I
like
just,
18. And I was like, this is just BS. To me, it just didn't make any sense. But anyways, then then we had Obama, and I just watched Obama run through the exact same policy style. He was like, hey, we're going to go into Syria.
well,
We're going to go into
our foreign.
Lebanon.
It used to be that foreign policy was the same. It used to be for
It was the
in
foreign
years.
policy
Foreign
was to
policy was united on
invade
both
and
sides
bomb the crap out of
forever.
these countries, these Middle Eastern countries.
We had
Eh,
the same foreign policy across the parties
Yeah,
for a
Obama did the
decade.
same thing, but Obama was a smooth talker, and he
Yeah.
made everything feel good, feel like what we were doing was the right thing. And and whenever he did the wrong thing, it didn't even really make a blip in the news. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody was freaking
Well,
out.
we know why that is because whatever he said was true, whether it's true or not,
Whether
because the
yeah, exactly.
media spawning for Democrats. That's
Right. So it
they
was
like
like
Democratic politics. So
everybody was like complaining about like during okay, but it was like Bush and everybody was like what the hell's going on? No, we need to back him. And then he Bush got his second term and then he just ran rampant through Iraq through all of that. And then Bush got in or Obama got in and he was the smooth talker. He calmed everything down so everything got normalized. Everything just seemed like everything was good. Everything was groovy, right? And so then when Trump gets in, it's like, oh well, here's somebody who's just this brash talker, and the media just came in and was like, bam, bam,
well,
bam.
he did change the level of decorum that existed based upon his like him just being
His
such so
personality,
yeah. So he changed what was appropriate because they would do politician speech and he wasn't doing the politician speech and
well, he was
it was
talking off the cuff, which you know what is
that was
interesting.
that shocked people way a lot. I mean,
Here's the thing though, is I really appreciated that because throughout, if you go back and you look at all of these speeches and all of these campaign things that Obama's doing and that Bush are doing, they
well,
are going off of teleprompters. Basically
no,
everything they say is a
it's catered to
teleprompter.
it's splitting hairs and trying to put just the right message that hits everybody, not just
Right, it
so
was carefully crafted, which informed me, and after watching Bush and Obama and those two operating in the exact same way, but
yeah,
just their approaches were a bit different. I was like, "Oh, you guys are the exact same because you guys
yeah.
can't. You guys are unable to speak off the cuff because you don't know what to say. You
Because
don't
they
know
can't say
what's
because they
running."
worry about poll tested stuff. They want to make sure they
Right.
don't say things that are not exactly
And
the right
right,
number.
and what I wanted, and through when I especially through Obama, I was like, I want somebody who is not going to be a teleprompter president. I want somebody who can sit there and talk and just talk about the things that they care about.
Yeah,
And it took me a while to get to understand that from Trump to be able to receive that through all of the media blasting me with how awful of a person he was. But it was like you know, I eventually grew to really appreciate that. Hey, you know
Yeah.
what? This guy can just get up and he can just talk for 2 hours about the
It
stuff that he actually
isn't
cares
it
about and that he
frustrating that
thinks.
people don't get it still, that
They don't. They don't
people
want to.
it's right over their head. Like there's so many people
It's not even
that like
over their
don't
head. It
realize that the
smacks them in
foreign
the
policy
face. It smacks them in the face and they get offended. It
the
doesn't go over
foreign
their head.
policy stuff that's happening right now is so fantastic.
It really is. Best
It's
president of my lifetime.
the way that he dealt with like Somali pirates and like the
Yep.
Venezuelan boats, all the kind of stuff. I'm like, no, that is what it has. Like, no, no, no. Like
Yep.
blow him up.
You're
Oh,
not
oh my
going.
gosh, are you a humanitarian? Whatever else. No, guess
The
what's not
fishing
happening
boats.
anymore.
But are they
Guess what's not
fishing
happening
boats?
anymore. Yeah,
Like that was so crazy to me.
like that's what you need to do to stop things like that. We do that so you don't have to constantly fight against pirates.
Yep.
They don't do that anymore.
They
You
don't
don't
do it anymore.
see there's no pirates right now.
Yep.
Um, that is that's the way we need to be. It needs to be a firm, tough hand, but like we are also the most compassionate, and so we're the first one at every bad incident that happened. We send our Blue Cross or
Oh
all
my
the American
goodness.
industries come to the first at every tsunami and every
Oh
one of
man.
us. We're that too. It's not like we're just the warmongers. Like no, we are being the adults in the room right now, where we're just taking care of things instead of giving politely worded letters or like you say in Team America, where you've seen Team America, right?
Yeah.
Where Kim Jong Il says it's like, or else what? He's like, or else we will write a strongly worded letter about blah 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 about.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, and so that's all they ever did is write strongly worded letters in
Yeah.
like the UN and things. And it's like no, you have to show you mean business. It's like no, you can't pirate ships.
Yeah.
You can't just send drugs here. We're gonna blow your boat out of the water.
Yep.
We're not gonna just assume that oh you just probably just yeah.
And
It's great,
I gotta
fantastic.
say, you know, and I could not, I almost couldn't believe it, that it was even possible for our government to do, because I had never actually seen it before. The amount of effort went out when those jets got shot down, the two jets got shot down in Iraq, and we there were two pilots that were stranded. We knew that they were
Oh yeah.
alive, or we
Oh, we
believed
got
that
them.
we hoped that they were alive, and they put in so much effort in order to find and extract those people. I was like, hold on a second though, because in
We coulda
all of
lost
our
more.
previous history, it
Yeah.
was like, look, you're out there and you're a tool. You go out there, you get shot down, you may die, and that's just it. And you know what? Hey, you get shot down, you might get lost. And you know what? I mean, I just think about Benghazi, and how like they're sitting there
Ah,
calling and calling and calling, and there's no answer. They're not getting the what they need. And it was like,
but Jordan, what difference at this point does it make? That's the Benghazi line of
I know,
storytelling.
right? I know.
It's
It's
it
like
g
it makes
you know, isn't
all
that
of the
fantastic?
difference.
That's what they do is that they're saying, "Well, we have to see what the investigation says. See what the investigation says. We need it. We don't really know all the facts. That you know what you're talking about. We can't talk about this right now because we're still doing an investigation." And then the investigation finishes at like a year and a half. They're like, what difference does it make at this point? It's been a year and a half. So like
Yeah.
they never have to talk about it because of the investigation. And then
Yeah.
when the investigation's done, they don't have to talk about it because it's too long ago now. That's how they do it in politics. It's so messed up.
But to see how much effort got put into,
Yes, it's fantastic. It warmed my
it
heart.
was
Yes.
incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I really feel like it makes people trust the government to go, like, if you want to sign
So
up for the military, to that you, for at least these guys, if
there are
something
some people
happens to
at
you,
work. There are people at work that I know that were hoping that the mission to save them resulted in a disaster.
that's crazy.
They were crossing their fingers that, like, we would lose a bunch of planes or do something else where, like, we're like
They're
because they
hoping
want
for
Trump
our
to fail so
failure.
bad. They want Trump to fail so bad that they were okay with America losing. They want America to lose under Trump
That's
because they
insane.
want Trump to take the blame for something finally because like they can't make anything stick to him enough to
Yeah,
where people won't vote for him. And so like they will take whatever it takes. If it takes America failing a war, if it takes us eating a nuke because of something, whatever else, they don't care as long as Trump is bad.
but
As long as Trump is
they
finally
secretly
finally prove that Trump is bad, whatever it takes.
they didn't actually say that though, huh? But they
So
alluded to it. They give
right,
you the
because you can't,
impression
right? Because you can't.
because you can't say I hope that those pilots die. I hope that they shoot down more. Instead they talk around it. They're like, "Oh, yeah? Well, guess what? Those pilots got shot down. Yeah, what do you think about that, huh?" And they're like excited about it. They're excited that those airplanes got taken down. They're
He's
excited
putting
that
him.
that
They would say things
those
like this.
pilots
They
might be
say
dead.
like they're putting all these other people at risk for Trump's war or whatever else,
Yep.
right? And so like they do this type of thing because they're trying to pretend. They're trying to pretend to take the
Yeah.
high ground,
And
but they're actually saying they actually don't want him to go in because they want to have the casualties on Trump's
right.
docket
And
also.
so here's kind of a difference. I think that I can actually link back to what I got off track with before. Is I never really had that. So that's not something that I ever really understood. I never actually wanted any of our presidents to actually do bad. Like in under Trump, I was never hoping that he was doing bad so that John Kerry would win the next election, right?
Right.
Or he would do bad. He would do so bad that it would destroy the Republican
Yeah.
Party, and that would enable Obama to come in and take in. And then when Obama and I saw he was doing the same thing, I was like, I don't want him to do bad, and I don't want him to fail in these things.
There
And,
was a big thing with Rush Limbaugh said that I hope he fails, that he took a lot of shit for um because he was asked to write a video, write an article in some post somewhere
yeah,
about Obama, and he said, "I hope he fails." That's all he sent as his article, and that was bad. It
that's
seemed
not
horrible,
good.
but what he's actually saying is that like I hope he doesn't accomplish what he's going to try to accomplish.
He's
It's not
thinking
that I don't.
he's on a different lane of what he's talking about. He's
Yeah.
not saying like I hope that America fails. And
Right.
that's I think the
He hoped
difference.
Obama fails so that America succeeds
Right.
is what he was trying to say.
Right.
He's
So
like he's
there's a
it was
misunderstanding, but a very
anyone can use
understandable
that.
misunderstanding.
Anyone can argue that for their side though. They can say like, "Oh, it's like, well, yeah, when I want Trump to fail, I want because I want America to succeed." Yeah, right? You can use that argument anywhere. But it was with Limbaugh, it was he wasn't actually trying to he wasn't being disingenuous. He's talking about the specific policies that he's talking about that he wanted to implement. He did not say like America's gonna fail if we do these type of things. It's it
It
sucks
just
that it
ended
is
up
so
being a
muddy.
bad
It's
it ended
so
up being a
muddy
bad
because
play.
of how anyone can use that tactic and it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, that's something that I've never really been able to do, and which is why kind of like when Trump did win, I was like, I gotta check myself, and I gotta take some time to understand, because I was like, there's no possible way that this many people, of whom I think would be awful people, would vote for this kind of a person because of how awful he is. And I was like, I gotta check
Well,
myself. I gotta figure this out.
I saw a cool meme about Trump is a Nazi. Everyone, well, most of the country prefer Nazis over Democrats because they all voted for Trump. So,
Yeah.
so America prefers Nazis over Democrats.
Well,
Then, if he's a Nazi,
Even Democrats prefer a Nazi because they're about to elect one. There's the guy who had the
right?
tattoo.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name right now, but
I can't remember either,
he's about to win. And it's like,
but
okay, so like
it's
all
funny how
your
they
guys' stuff, like it to me it just shows like you guys to me it just shows the Democrats don't actually care about any of this stuff. all of this stuff is just rhetoric. It's all just agenda based. They
So
just are seeking a result
they have
and
to go
power. That's
11
it.
with all the things because people are always the worst of things. So
Yeah,
that's why they have to go to, if they're not going to Nazi or Hitler because you're not supposed to, they go to fascist, right? Which is the
right.
replacement word, the replacement idea. So
Yeah.
fascist, child molester, like all of the
The
things that can
worst
possibly go
things.
to the maximum are always attached. And whenever there's a news update that happens, or whatever the maximum is, that's also attached.
Well, and you look at what recently happened with the Trump assassination attempt, and you read the guy's manifesto. He's saying that this guy's like a racist pedophile, and he's like, I can't. He's corrupt. I can't stand here and allow this person, this president, to continue in doing all of this stuff, and he can't get away with it. And it's like, but all of this stuff is BS. And this is from the narrative that these guys push.
Yeah.
This is what they created. They created the monster of Trump, but it's just an illusion.
And what about all the like the saying that people say out there, someone's got to do it. It means something, right? Someone's got to do it, and
Right.
everyone knows what it means,
And somebody
right?
said,
Someone's got to do it, and
yeah,
they can go ahead and stay away from the Secret Service thing by saying that because it's like, oh, you don't know what I'm talking about, but they're talking about assassinating Trump. Someone's got to do
yeah,
it, and like
8647. And
yeah,
it's like,
and they're saying, oh, this is just they're just punitively they're just weaponizing the government to go after him. Like, dude, he knew what he was doing when he was doing that, and it was bad form. And if you do something like that, you deserve to get investigated. It's he's basically calling for the president to be assassinated, even
I
if
saw,
even if it was completely a natural formation of seashells that he took a picture of there. Oh my gosh, this is crazy, right?
what
Take a
is
picture of
this?
it.
What is,
You
I
still
wonder
should
what
not have
this
posted it.
means, dot, dot, dot. Like,
Right.
clearly, what this means,
He
right? Like, we're
shouldn't
not
post it
stupid.
anyway.
Yeah, and then for him to post it, and it's
Because
like,
especially as his was his position, right? He
yeah,
should
and
never
so,
post that ever.
but okay, so there's a little bit of an argument that can kind of be had, right? And it's like kind of like, look, 8647, hey, you know what? In back in the day, like even before then, Matt Gates and Jack Prosobic, they wrote 8646, and so how come they don't face the same kind of a
Oh, did they?
penalty? Apparently, yes. And
Oh,
but
that's
here's
not
what
okay.
I would say, I'm not for something like that either. But here's a huge difference, I think, is that it's kind of the grains of sand that get tossed in, that develop into a heap until it overflows.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what the Republicans kind of rhetoric has been a lot more comical. It's more like, hey, let's go Brandon, meaning F
Yes.
Joe Biden, right? And it's like,
That
there's
is the
not a
way
whole
Republicans do it.
no
That's
when we found out that that Biden was diagnosed and he had cancer, like the vast majority of the response was like, this is not like, that sucks, like
yeah,
we don't
cancer
want
sucks.
him to deal with, like,
We do
that's
not
not what we
condone
want for
cancer.
him. We didn't want that, right?
Yeah.
And so there's not like a death wish. That's the thing, is that there's not a death wish from the Republican Party towards any of these Democrats.
So
There may
what they
be a
will argue though,
disdain.
what they will argue is they are unique that Trump is uniquely bad and they are justified in that feeling.
Exactly. But
We
he
don't feel
is
like about that about their people because their people aren't that bad.
right. But the
So
way that
therefore
they
that's
got
why we
there,
don't actually rise to that level.
right. But the way that they got there is because they created the narrative. They were tossing
Yeah.
grains of sand that
Well,
developed into the heap. And then,
if there was Hitler sitting right here, wouldn't you kill him to
right, but
save
they
all
had
those
to
years?
build that narrative. They had to
Right.
throw enough Hitlers out there on the internet.
Yeah.
Each time somebody
I
says
mean, what would
Hitler,
you do to
that's a
stop
grain of
Hitler, right?
sand.
What would you do to stop a child molester? What would you do to
There's a grain
stop
of
a
sand.
rapist?
There's another
And
grain of
so
sand.
all the stuff is there to provide a what's the language is a I heard
It's
what's his name say
stochastic
it?
terrorism is what it is.
No, I know, but Ben Shapiro had a really good. I watch clips still. Um, it's a really good definite.
I mean, I feel
Starts
like
with a P. The word
stochastic
starts with a P.
terrorism has got to be close enough,
Yeah, it is,
right?
but I've never heard that word
If
before
you
until you
think
said
of
it.
it, if it pops in, just you can stop me
Okay,
and blurt it out.
sorry.
Um, but it's the grains of sand, right? And so
Yeah.
what the Democrats had an entire media apparatus that were throwing these sands. I mean, it was every day. It was grains of sand every day. Whereas the Republicans through Biden or even through Obama, it was like a few grains of sand. So it never really developed into a heap, right? And so then we with eventually it got to the point where it was like somebody said on X, they were like I hope that it happens on at the WH uh CD or DC or whatever it was, right? The White House Correspondents' Dinner. So WHCD. And then posted that 3 hours before
Yeah, I know.
it happened.
Yeah,
And then afterwards it was like she was like, "Well, looks like someone else had the same idea." And it's like that's it right there.
I
Right?
know.
They are creating the environment that makes people have this idea and feel as though I hope that this happens.
Permission is one word. It's a permission structure. Yeah, it's a permission structure. That's part of it. I can't
Yes,
remember the rest of it.
I
But
understand what you're saying. Yes.
like the type. Ah, gee, it was.
It's a structural growth that
It's a
stacks on
it's a
top of it.
permission structure. The language is the rhetoric that they use is the permission structure um
It's the
to
punch a
give people that
Nazi.
basically you can kill
Republicans are
Nazis.
Nazis. It's
Yeah,
okay to punch a Nazi. Hey, let's punch Nazis.
yeah.
Nazis are Republicans. Let's punch Republicans. It's like and punching Republicans equals punching
He
Nazis.
had he had a bunch of really like other a couple other words in there that just made it was like, oh my gosh, so concise, so
Yeah,
whatever, and that's what he
yeah,
does, right? But um yeah, it does. It creates a permission structure for people to feel justified,
yep,
just by because of it's up to the point. It's the language in the culture in everything they do and they talk about is in that space.
yeah.
It's like you don't operate anywhere in the norm. The norm is that, and so like
And it's something that I actually understand because I kind of came from that. And what it is, it's a moral superiority complex.
yeah,
It's where you believe that what your views are and how you see the world, that is the correct way that everybody should function. And so you're gonna say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Like I remember that in my more hardcore atheist days. You know, I might find somebody who's talking anti-gay and stuff like that, and it was kind of like an opportunity to shame them and to villainize them and turn them into this kind of a monster, right? And and what that did is it justified my reaction to them being opposed to gay stuff, and then that allowed me to take all of this anger and all of this other shit that I had in my life and say, you know what? I'm gonna dump it all out on you.
yeah,
You know, and it makes you kind of feel powerful. It makes you feel good, and it makes you feel right. You
yeah,
feel justified in your outburst because this person, this individual deserves they deserves what it is that you're giving them, what you're throwing at them. And it's, you know, in some instances, in some ways, like maybe there's still some applicability in it, but it's really not the best way to kind of go about things. But I was young, right? I was young and kind of dumb. And so I really feel like, you know, that's where TDS has kind of come in. TDS has just taken people over and they're not growing. They're not evolving their mind out of this space. They're just
yeah,
holding on to it and they won't allow themselves to think differently, to even consider an alternative. They have to hate Trump. That's just what they have to do. And if there's no getting around it, because if they were, they would have to face they'd have to face now a decade of all of their reactions. I feel very fortunate that I was able to kind of figure this out. I think that there were two moments, and I'm sure I've said it before, but I'll say them again very quickly. There were two moments that really had me understand, that allowed me to step out, and they happened relatively early on. It was the fish food incident, and that exposed the media, how the media was lying about everything that was going on, because they made Trump out to seem like he inappropriately dumped out fish food in Japan, and that was a bad decorum, and they did like it was days worth of media
Yeah.
attention on that. The second was when he told Kim Jong Un, um, "Shut up! I'm gonna bomb you, little rocket man." Like basically, in essence, and I freaked out, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't! This is so irresponsible. I cannot believe this." And then the next thing I knew, they were shaking hands, and they crossed, and Trump was the first president to cross into their territory. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Maybe it's possible that I don't know everything. Maybe he knows what's going on better than I do. Maybe he knows how to handle these situations better than I do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold off on my judgment, and I'm going to look at the results at the end of the day. And that allowed me to kind of step back and say, you know what? I'm going to follow this from his perspective and
Yeah.
see how this can make sense to him. And then if it can make sense, and at the end of the day, the results pan out, now I have a good understanding of how we actually got these results. So I think that that's something that I was able to figure out relatively early on. And I don't think that a lot of other people have allowed themselves that kind of an opportunity. And I know that nobody's actually going to be watching this or spend, an hour and 22 minutes to get up to this point. But if you do, and you're at this stage, and you're listening to this, like, give it a shot, man. Give it a shot. Like, just hold off your judgment, put it on the back burner, say, you know what, I'm gonna see what the results are, and it may take a period of time,
I'll
but
say
figure
w-
that, like, let
it'll
the
pay
events
off
play out.
to just not hate him. It will pay off in your life, just not to have the hate in your heart,
Honestly,
even if you don't agree with completely
yeah,
everything. And plus, you will also be able to laugh at how funny he is.
he's
Really funny.
hilarious. He's hilarious.
And if you don't hate him, that
You
and
know,
even if you don't completely agree with him, it's like your life's gonna be much better for the next 2 years.
it's really has been a sad thing, and I don't know what the situation is with, like, George Takai, the Star Trek guy.
Yeah, he's
Um,
always been.
he's hated him, and I haven't heard from him for a while. So, but he's an old guy,
Oh
and
yeah.
he really hates Trump. And there's a lot of people who are very old, and I'm like, man, I just kind of think about, like, how much they hate Trump and how much Trump is on their mind. And for them to be laying on their deathbed, and the last thing that they're thinking very likely is going to be something negative about Trump. And it's like, he has gotten so in your head that
Well,
you've created a
Rosie O'Donnell said
caricature.
that she is having that issue. She revealed that in an interview or something
Who?
somewhere. Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's admitted to the fact that she's a therapist. She said, like, I just can't. She is just telling me to stop because it's ruining my life, and
right.
I think it is, and I agree.
Yeah,
I just don't know. So like she can't drop it. She just hates him so much, and
yeah.
like that's where her whole life is. I mean, he's living in her head for free, and that is not a way to live.
It's a sad way to die. It's a sad way
It
to
is.
die with having so much, because here's the ironic thing, is that they are so anti-hate. Everything that they feel that they are about
They
is
think it's
is
anti-hate.
not hating people. They are all about love and acceptance and all of this stuff. But their mind has become completely absorbed by hate, with hate for Trump. And it's I
And
think it's
anyone supporting
destroying
him, yeah.
people's lives, it's destroying people's relationships. You can't, in a lot of ways, you can't even have conversations with people, because you can't even talk about them, because it just drives them crazy, and they're unable to listen. So if people are listening, Give yourself a break. Take 6 months. Stop listening to all forms of media, and then come back. Ignore all the previous sources of media that you once were listening to. Do not go back to that, and just like listen to him, and just try to understand, and just hold off on your judgment, and allow results to play out, and judge things on the results, and then try to understand how we got there. That's my advice. That's my advice to people, because I really
Yeah.
don't think it's a
We
healthy
can't just
thing.
assume that he's you can't just assume that everything he does is evil, right?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
nobody's evil. I mean, you think about it. He's labeled like a transphobe, gay, fascist,
all
dictator,
the things.
Hitler,
Anything bad, he's it.
anything bad. Like, there's nobody, I don't think that there's anybody on the planet that is all of these things. That's all of these things. There's probably not these people probably do not exist. And so, but if you think that Trump is that
Mm.
person, I can assure you he's not. I used to think that he was. It turns out he's not. So that's kind of what I have to say around that.
Yeah.
Do we want to have any closing thoughts,
No,
or
I'm
maybe
just
that can
glad.
be it, huh?
Yeah, that's a fine closing thought
That's a
because we
fine
spoke
closing
the
thought.
idea of like I want I want us all to not be um so divided. It's like it's we're all
Yeah,
in our separate groups, and I really
yeah,
like that not be the case. So
yeah. Stop the division, and and you can't come together when you hate, when you hate this person. It's like, I don't think there's anybody that I hate. There's people I might disagree with, but I
yeah.
think you're right. All right, take it easy, guys.